Okay, good to go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, staff will call the meeting to order at 1:30 p.m. Meeting of April 3rd. Today's meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting. It may be streamed as well as recorded and published on the Southwest Middlesex YouTube channel and website. We'll begin this gathering by acknowledging that the land upon which we meet is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have a long-standing relationship with the land, the water, and the region. We convey our respect to our First Nation neighbors, thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, our past, and partnerships in the future. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interests? None have been registered. Okay, we can move on. Council, additions to the agenda, are there any? I'm not seeing any. The chair will entertain a motion that the agenda of council dated April 3rd be accepted as presented. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Choi. Seconder, Councillor Myers. All in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. I have been advised that there are any. Looking around, I don't see any that are unannounced. The consent agenda is before you. Not long. The March 20th council meetings. The vouchers. Thank you again, council, for your early inquiries. Chief Administrative Officer recruitment plan has been circulated. And Martin, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, or I want to bring it up during the meeting. So,
okay.
You want me to talk about it now? Or later?
Yeah, if it's lengthy, we can move it to new business. If it's fairly concise, we can deal with it now.
Well, I'm not sure. Other people might have an opinion on it too.
We'll bring it up.
Okay.
I think it's usually number 12 in the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that. The chair will make a note. Martin, Councillor Vink. On 5C. Oh, that's a good point, Councillor Vink, and I too am interested in the interim CAO's comments on that. 5D, County Council highlights. 5E, the Amtrak community fact sheet. Just to let council know that all mayors on the rail line between Windsor and Montreal were invited to a meeting, virtual meeting, and we all were advised that Amtrak are considering linking up with VIA so that there will be train transportation to Chicago. And would merely be taking a train from Glencoe to Windsor and getting on an Amtrak in Canadian soil and then going on to Chicago. Primarily for, there's a couple of reasons they're suggesting that. One is, of course, the business end of it. Second is the sharing of academic intelligence. The various universities in the United States very often share information and research in that. Universities in Southwestern Ontario particularly. And the third reason is tourist aspect of it, people that want to go to Chicago. And of course, as an agricultural community, we realize that the decisions on the prices of grains are made in Chicago, not made in New York. And 5F, Emergency Management Ontario, the solar eclipse. We just urge our residents to take caution. Do not look into that phenomena without registered and protective eyewear. And 5G, the Adelaide Metcalfe tile resolution. Yes, would you like to speak to that?
Well, yeah, I would like us to support that. They're just asking for the amount that the province will loan farmers through the tile drain loan program be increased.
Yep. We've witnessed some of that as well. Would you like to deal with that now, Councillor McGill? Would you make that a motion? Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Vink, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Will endorse the Adelaide Metcalfe resolution. And from there, We need, a resolution to accept the consent agenda with the exception of, 5C, which we'll deal with under new business. Is there a mover and a second? Councillor Vink, Councillor Choi, all in favor? Carried. Martin, get to your concern down the road. Committee of Adjustment, I have been advised that there are not any public meetings, not today. And we're into then staff reports. Mr. Castelli, this is in regard to the Trillium Limerick landfill engineering services that may be required. Could you apprise council of your report?
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, for council's report to extend the engineering services with WSP and Associates Limited for the Limerick and Trillium landfills. The estimate does include engineering and contract administration for final cover on the Limerick landfill as outlined in the design and operations report that was previously done. It also includes a soil and berm and stockpile volume assessment at the Trillium landfill. And it also includes installing a new monitoring well. With the previous CAO and I met with several members of the MECP and the WSP Associates engineers, and were advised by the MECP as a precaution to approach the south property and install a new monitoring well. So we've asked them to provide us a quote in that manner. And the quote also includes an annual monitoring report to continue the annual monitoring report for 2024. These funds will be allocated from landfill reserves, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. To Mario, how about these monitoring reports? How long do they expect to be? For instance, the one on Limerick, it's all bush there. There's no houses within half a mile. And it's really catching on with the bush. So I just wonder how long this monitoring process is going to last.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vink, that's a very good question. I posed that question to the MECP, and it's up to them to advise us to when they do not require us to be monitoring. I don't have an answer. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. It's up to the MECP to decide that. But I can tell you that these reports are going in and things seem to be kosher, seem to be okay. But as to when they will stop requiring that, I'm not sure.
Any other questions? And Morrow, I'd just like to point out that if we have suitable top cover on those sites which are part of this engineering service, if we can identify the right soil types to cover that, our water test should come more favorable with a better cover. Is that not correct?
That is correct. Yeah, this will only help the monitoring wells if we put an additional cover on top.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Councillor McGill.
Yeah, through the mayor tomorrow. What's the timeline when we're supposed to have this final cover done by? I forget.
I'd have to look into that. I thought when I was reading the reports, we had till 2025 or 2026 in order to do the final cover on Limerick. I'm not sure about Trillium. I have to get back to you on that. With Trillium, all we want to do right now is we want to analyze the material that's there to see if we have sufficient material to do the cover, or if we have to import more.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Haggett.
Yeah, I'll move to do it. I
Okay,
mean, there was no
Good.
problem to close it,
So
so.
okay.
finish it. I'll
That
move
sounds good. Thank you, Councillor Haggett. That will authorize the WSP to undertake the engineering on the Trillium and Limerick landfill for $93,180. Jeff, does that meet your approval? Okay. Morrow? Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Haggett. Is there a second? Councillor Myers. Any questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Morrow, very much. And Morrow, thank you. That gets you off the hook today. And we're at number 9, notice of motion. Deputy Mayor Schuldice regarding the fence at Simpson Park on the north side. Pleased to see this.
Yep, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. We've all seen the motion, so I guess if we could
just move ahead and have staff report at the next meeting, I guess, what they could come up with.
Okay, thank you very much. Um, uh, Kristen, I can see the logic behind the motion and, but it's not, just for council's benefit, it's not a budgeted item, so we want you to perform your magic to see if we can, find some funds. Is that correct?
Yes, we can do that as part of, I anticipate Kevin will bring back the report and I can talk to him about the financial implications to include
Great,
in the report of those consideration.
good. Well, we know, that, recreation will be in good hands. Thank you. You will, move that, Deputy Mayor, is there a second for that? Councillor Haggett, discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Correspondence and petitions. I have been advised there is none. And unfinished business, we have, Councillor Vinks, has asked for 5C, to be pulled out and, regarding the Chief Administrative Officer recruitment plan. Martin, you can, introduce the subject and I know Jeff will be, prepared in answering any of your questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm looking at some of these dates here. And to me, it seems like, it could be a bit of a rush, May 1st for a deadline. And I'm not sure when it's going to get into AMCTO careers, municipal world. And I believe we should allot enough time for people to make out their resumes. It's not a regular resume. These are quite detailed. And so I'm thinking that May 1st is a little early.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your concern, expressing your concern on that. Jeff, do you have a response, not only to, Councillor Vink, but to council?
Sure. That's a pretty normal timeline to have it out there. If you would like to extend it for a few more days, it'll be like if council proceeds with this report today, the postings will be prepared tomorrow and they're sent digitally to those locations and they often go out on Fridays. So if I have them to tomorrow afternoon, they'll be posted on Friday, Friday the 5th of April. And that's almost, what's 26 days that it would be out in the market. So I can move it back to the Monday if you wish. Monday, May the 6th instead of the 1st would be making it like 30 days. Okay.
Okay, do you need a resolution,
No.
council, or just go?
No, I just take that as direction.
And, any other questions on that while we're on the subject? Jeff, if, for some reason, we don't get the candidacy that we're looking for in terms of, applications, it can be extended, or do you have confidence that will?
Yeah, I mean, the adaptations you make after you post it and go through interviews, it certainly could be extended. There's many things, but the first choice would be to extend it if you weren't satisfied with the pool.
Sounds good. Okay, then that will be, extended in time, Councillor Vink, and that, will, handle some of your concerns, okay? Thanks for bringing that up, Martin. Yep, any more? Yep.
No.
Follow up, go ahead.
Yes. I'm not sure this is going to be discussed later, Mayor, or not, but I believe the committee should be also involved in picking the resumes into the 5 candidates or whatever.
I think we will be discussing that in camera, okay?
Okay.
Resumes are a sensitive, subject with personal information, and I'll let Jeff, put the dot on the end of this. Would it be prudent to discuss that second concern, Martin's, in committee of the whole?
I think I can answer the question in public session because I don't think it's legal or contract negotiation. So on the topic of resume reviews, pretty often delegate it to staff. However, there can be variations on that. You know, the committee would be about as far as I would want to see the selected resumes, and the certainly when you get to interviews, the committee members on the recruitment committee will get the resumes. And there's a real balance between how much information to give the committee members to make them comfortable, but also protect the privacy of the applicants that don't get interviewed. And I'm very aware of that balance. And in my view, the resumes get sorted in 3 piles. The sort of A pile that is very highly qualified meets the B pile that's close, and the C pile that's low score. They're scored using a matrix. The names of the applicants can be shared, although there might be circumstances in a recruitment that there's a name in there we might want to protect that person's identity or their role in a similar municipality or whatever. So there are variables, but I will say to you, Councillor Vink, that my approach to this would be to give you enough information that you're comfortable that they were fairly reviewed without providing too much. And that may include providing names and even resumes for the ones that are close, but not providing so much information that it's unfair to the privacy of the applicants.
So there is a process, and I think your concern will be addressed. Okay, any further questions on that, council? Then we can move on. 13, County Council conference updates. County Council notes are before you, Council. Interesting read on some. And there's no questions on that. We can move on. Yes.
I just want to give my opinion. But I ain't disappointed enough in the new county ordinance going to be in the
The discussion was on the price of land. We own that. And that's what makes it financially acceptable to go that route. And a second reason is that we have approximately a dozen and a half agreements with the City of London where we share services, things like that. And so that the business end of it, particularly in community housing, ambulance dispatch, things like that, there's continual business relationship between the County of Middlesex and the City of London. And we do that to foster a better command of how we spend money. And we all thought the same thing. Where the center is, Middlesex Center, land values are exceptionally high, and Hyde Park area exceptionally high. There was none at the county building. They need all that land. So that was made in a fiduciary manner, that decision. But philosophically, I agree with you, Martin. It is somewhat disappointing, but it was a business decision. Okay. Anything else? We can move on to announcements. Are there any? I'll give you a minute to collect your thoughts, council. Any upcoming dinners or anything like that? Yes, Councillor Joy.
Thank you. Just a reminder of the Little Kin Park open house on the 10th, 4 to 8 p.m. at the Masonic Hall in Wardsville. And as well as, that's right. You get to meet with the contractor, see renderings, and ask questions and give your input on the proposed playground. And then the second one would be the Hydro One open house, which is tomorrow night, 4 to 8 p.m. at the Glencoe Agricultural Hall in Glencoe.
It's true. Certainly want to attend that and express any concerns we have. Anything else, council? Thank you, Councillor Choi, for that. I just perhaps can make mention that Arlene Morell has been one of our trustees on the Middlesex Board of Thames Valley Board of Education, and Arlene is retiring from that position, and she has been a real advocate for rural schools. We will miss her greatly, and there is a process on the board that any retiring individual, any retiring trustee providing they have a track record of exemplary service, can be nominated for an award called the Dr. Harry Pakin Award. So in reviewing what Arlene has done for Southwest Middlesex over the years, and the meetings that she has attended, and the public meetings, speaking at the board very often, heavily criticized for some of her positions on rural schooling. I submitted her name as a nominee for the Dr. Harry Pakin Award and notified the individuals of that, and she has done a great job, and we certainly wish her well. At 15, it is recommended that we go into closed session at 1:31 p.m. as per section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001, in order for council to consider information about labor relations or employee negotiations. Is there a mover for that, please? Okay, Councillor Haggett, the seconder for that, please. Councillor Vink, any questions? I'll call it.
Just before you go in, Mayor, may you clerk, I think the clerk has a question.
Yes.
Do you want to pass the bylaws ahead of going into closed session?
If it would convenience you, Kendra.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I can come back.
You know what? I think it would be in your best interest if we pass those bylaws. Okay, so I'm going to suggest to council that bylaw number 2024/15 to bylaw 2024/21 be adopted as read. And council, as you can see by the identification of the municipal drains here, that all but one are in municipal drains, and the last one is a confirmatory bylaw of this meeting. Is there a mover and a seconder? Mark, thank you. Councillor McGill, seconder for that. Councillor Vink, thank you. All in favor? Carried unanimously. That is done, Kendra, and thank you very much. And I appreciate you mentioning that. You can go on to other things. I know you got lots to do. Council, I have identified the reasons that it is imperative that we go into closed session. There is a mover and a seconder for that already, I believe. Is that correct? Okay, I'll call the vote on that. All in favor? Carried.